How's it going, guys, and welcome back to the channel for another video. And today we're going to be discussing all of these leaks and rumors regarding a potential Star Wars Battlefront 3. There is going to be a lot in this video that I have not talked about on the channel before, and I've seen a lot of talk about this across YouTube, Twitter, Reddit, everywhere, and I wanted to put my 2 cents into the discussion and just tell you guys what I think. Is this legit? Is it total BS? Are we actually going to get this Battlefront 3 that keeps getting leaked? Well, we'll get into all of that today. Now, there have been pretty heavy rumors and supposed leaks floating around, and the one that we will get to at the end of this video isn't actually a leak, and it's probably the most credible hint toward a Battlefront 3 that we have yet. And like I said, I've not covered this as this was quite recent, so make sure you stick around for that. A lot of you are going to be very happy with what you hear. Now, I'm not confirming anything in this video, take all of this with a grain of salt. Most of the leaks are probably total BS, but there is no way to know for sure. The only thing we know for sure is what's going to be at the end of the video. A gaming industry insider who hinted at the Battlefront franchise continuing. And we also have a clip of him talking about it and going a little bit more in depth. So yeah, some really interesting stuff that we're going to get to in this video. Now, before we dive into it though, it would be great if you could check out my Twitch channel below the video. We've been playing some Battlefront 2 over there recently, and we've been having a lot of fun doing it, so make sure you drop by and stay tuned for more streams. And of course, if you haven't already, feel free to subscribe to this channel for all things Star Wars gaming. But now, let's dive into the video. Now, I've already talked about the hints Battlefront 2 campaign actors have been dropping over the past month or so I'm not going to bore you guys with that again. But there has been Reddit leaks which are saying a Battlefront 3 is coming. There is also mention from, like I said, a gaming industry insider who hinted at the Battlefront franchise continuing, going as far as to say we're going to get another Battlefront game. So the further we go, the more heated this discussion is getting, the more hints we are seeing, the more supposed leaks we are seeing. It's getting pretty hectic. Now, EA know the demand for a Battlefront 3 is there. I mean, look at Battlefront 2 exploding in popularity in the past week, and we know that EA have multiple Star Wars games going into development as we speak. So these leaks and hints obviously are drawing curiosity, but do any of them actually have any merit? Well, let's start with the Reddit leaks. So this was the Reddit post that has gained a ton of traction over the past few days, with websites making a ton of articles about it, YouTubers making a ton of videos, it's doing the rounds on Twitter, it's everywhere. Now, you should be able to tell straight off the bat that it doesn't confirm anything. It's not a reputable source, it's a random guy posting this. Who that random guy is, that's up for debate. It could be a developer, it could be an industry insider. Leaks like this are not rare at all, but random people making up a load of BS to get people excited is also not rare. So again, grain of salt. Now, let's go over what he actually says in this post. So the first thing he says is, yes, Battlefront 3 is happening. It's still very early into development as most of the team is working on Battlefield 6. Now, this is obviously plausible. We know DICE are working on Battlefield 6 and that's supposedly coming out late this year if I'm not mistaken. He also says, should expect an announcement sometime in the coming months. Don't expect a full-on trailer. Again, plausible. If he was saying expect a full-on trailer, that'd be a big red flag because there is no way that's going to happen. And also, the likelihood of us hearing an announcement in the coming months would actually make sense. Lucasfilm Games did say a couple weeks ago that they were going to have plenty of announcements coming, so this could fall into that very easily. He also said that it's scheduled for a Q4 2023 release and that it's going to take advantage of the new console SSD. The last part is obviously a given. Of course, it will take advantage of the new console SSD. That's obvious, and they'd be crazy not to take advantage of the new hardware in a new Star Wars game. As for the scheduled release date, I think that is still fairly plausible, so it's still a few years away. Obviously, a Battlefront 3 would demand a lot of development time, and this is a reasonable amount of time to expect a new Battlefront title, especially if DICE are doing this game and they're using assets from Battlefront 2. Now, his last point that he made on this post is, the game is positioned to take a new direction for the series that will distinguish itself from the last 2 installments. So that's kind of interesting to be thrown in there, really. I don't really know how it could distinguish itself from Battlefront 2, especially without throwing the Battlefront formula out of the window. So if this is true, I am interested to see exactly what that could mean. And he also left a little footnote on the Reddit post saying, set a reminder on Reddit here for the 20th of April. So that gives us a date to know whether or not this guy is full of crap. So this leak is plausible. The stuff he is saying does line up. It does make sense, and big but, this is not a reputable source that's proven himself in the past. This is a random post that has gained a lot of traction and is plausible. That's why it's gaining traction. Now, I hope it is true, and there is a big chance that it could be, but there's also a big chance that it's not. There has been a lot of buzz floating around for a Battlefront 3, and like I said, some of this stuff does line up with what the narrative seems to be. Now, he also did say that there will be an EA Star Wars sizzle reel. Now, I believe this is in reference to the 20th of April, which is the date he said to keep an eye on. Lucasfilm Games released a sizzle reel recently, and judging off the leak, EA are going to be doing the exact same thing for their Star Wars games coming in future, and I hope that happens. It would be a great idea. It would build a ton of hype and people would eat it up. Now, with what we're about to talk about, it might make you actually believe this Reddit post even more, but again, take the Reddit post as a leak from an unproven source and nothing more. Like I said, we aren't confirming anything here, but we're also not denying, as we just do not know. But now moving on to something a little bit more concrete, and this is where I'm starting to get a little bit excited. This is without a doubt the most credible knowledge of a Battlefront 3 that we have so far. So, well-renowned industry insider Jeff Grubb said in his podcast recently that he thinks that every EA Star Wars game is going to continue on with its franchises. Those being Jedi Fallen Order, Squadrons, and of course, Battlefront. And he talks about how EA will continue on with their established franchises instead of actually building new ones from the ground up. Which is something I did say that I really thought EA were going to do that with the license expanding to other publishers. That they just keep going with their own franchises as they are popular, they're established, and pretty much a sure thing. Not really much risk involved. Now, I will roll the clips of what Jeff said now for you guys.
Yes, I think every EA Star Wars game pretty much is going to continue. All the series are going, like we'll get another Battlefront. That was like it was like the biggest game that they showed in the Lucasfilm Games trailer. EA doesn't want to invest a lot in new games, like totally new games. They're not necessarily, and I think that was their big problem with Star Wars. Is like it takes a lot for them to get something off the ground. They don't have a lot of faith that it's going to work out. And once it does, they're like, okay, well, we'll see that through and we'll kind of run that into the ground. But I don't know if, and I think they're fine with doing that. And they have the games now. They have like a couple like Squadrons, Fallen Order, and Battlefront. They'll keep those going. So
that's from an industry insider. Naturally, this has made people pretty happy. He seems more than confident that we will get a Battlefront 3, as well as other EA franchise Star Wars games, and it seems like the new IPs will all be coming from the new publishers when the contract opens up in 2023, which we know is already going to start with Ubisoft and the new open world Star Wars game. So he says, and I quote, "We're gonna get another Battlefront." He literally says that. So, I mean, this is the most credible hint toward a Battlefront 3 that we have had yet. A month ago, the chances of us having a Battlefront 3 was a pipe dream, but now it's very much a reality, and it seems like, from what we can see here, it's gonna happen, and that is really exciting. Now, what Jeff talks about, does that run alongside what the Reddit leaks told us? Maybe, but for me, I'll be taking Jeff's word over Reddit leaks every day of the week, as I suggest you guys should as well. Now, he doesn't say anything as to whether or not this Battlefront that he expects will be coming, who's going to be making it. I still expect DICE to be the #1 candidate, despite the fact that Dennis Brandvell left DICE. Now, for those who don't know, Dennis Brandvell was basically like the Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau of Battlefront. He's gone, but I personally think the Battlefront franchise is going to continue without him. But even if it isn't DICE, I still think the prospect of a Battlefront 3 is perhaps the most exciting announcement we could get this year, in my opinion. Battlefront 2015 had its mistakes, Battlefront 2 had a lot of mistakes, but made it right eventually, so I expect third time lucky. This Battlefront 3 game could be like the ultimate Battlefront game that we're after. Again, despite the fact that Jeff is a well-renowned industry insider and it appears he is confident of a new Battlefront, don't take it as official confirmation. It's not official until EA or Lucasfilm Games say it's happening. But having said that, we can still enjoy this little bit of excitement that comes from these comments made by Jeff. And I think given the way Battlefront 2 has increased in popularity and been, revived about 3 times now, I think personally, it's just not plausible to expect nothing for the Battlefront franchise in the next few years. I'd be very shocked if we saw nothing. All fingers are pointing toward a new Battlefront installment in some way, shape, or form, whether that is a Battlefront 3, whether that is a spin-off, and I can't wait to see what EA has in store for this franchise. But what do you guys think of all of this? Make sure you let me know in those comments below, and remember, we are not confirming anything here, so keep that in mind. But if you did go on to enjoy this video and are excited at the prospect of a new Battlefront game or games, drop a like on this video. Of course, I will be following this closely as well as all things Star Wars games, so make sure you subscribe to the channel with post notifications on so you don't miss a thing. And just a reminder to check out the Twitch channel as well for future Star Wars streams. But that is going to do it for me today. Thank you for watching and have a good one.